Previously on Fantasy Football.
Last year, Kyle could not beat Chris, but this year, Kyle takes him to the cleaners, beating Chris. Kyle defeats Alexa. Kyle goes ahead and beats William. Kyle beats Kelly. Kyle beats Bob. Kyle beats Danielle. Kyle beats Justin. Kyle is the favorite to win. David's gonna hate going back to 500.
And now, the conclusion.
We'll get to it. Let's go ahead and take a look at Week 8. Starting match we have is the rematch of the championship game from last year. That's right, it's Uncle David, who finished in second last year, versus Chris, who finished first last year. Now coming into this game, Chris was the favorite to win because Uncle David has really struggled this season, and it looks like his struggles are going to continue as even though he put up an impressive amount of points this week, Chris ultimately outscores him and is going to take the win. Chris beats Uncle David 165 to 153, meaning that Uncle David will now unfortunately fall to 2-6, and Chris will now rise to 5-3. Our next game is William versus Kelly. Now Kelly has had a lot of problems coming into this year. She's been struggling to get wins ever since Week 3, and William has been doing very well for himself, and it looks like William's streak is going to continue as he beats Kelly this week. William beats Kelly 173 to 153. Meaning that William will now rise to 6-2, and Kelly will now fall to 3-5. Our next game is two teams that have been struggling as they are both the bottom of the barrel, unfortunately, in our league. That's right, it's Danielle versus Bob. Danielle's been putting up a lot more impressive numbers as of late. However, she's been facing a lot of teams that have just been able to outscore her. And Bob has been on a 6-game losing streak with his only win coming from Week 1 against David. Unfortunate for Bob, but good for Danielle. Bob's losing streak is going to continue as Danielle beats Bob. Danielle beats Bob 141 to 119, meaning that Bob will unfortunately fall to 1-7 and Danielle will now rise to 2-6. Our next game is the first of two Levitt versus Mason matchups. We'll start with the less interesting one that you all don't really care as much about. That's right, it's Alexa versus Justin. Now coming into this week, Justin's been a little flaky. He's had some really good wins and some really bad losses. Notably last week to Kyle when he left Joe Burrow on the bench. Never forget. And Alexa's been on a 5-game winning streak lately, which is goddamn impressive in this league. And it looks like Alexa's streak is going to continue as she beats Justin. Alexa beats Justin 116 to 107, meaning that Justin will now fall to 3-5, if only he had started Joe Burrow last week. And Alexa will now rise to 6-2. Our final game is the game of the week. It's the undefeated Kyle versus the 4-3 David. Now, David has been having a weird season this year as he's just been kind of hovering around 500. And Kyle has been undefeated this entire year, currently at 7-0. But wouldn't you know it, David is actually going to surprise everybody and take down Kyle this week. That's right, David hands Kyle his first loss of the season. David beats Kyle 171 to 151, meaning that David will now rise to 5-3, 2 games ahead of 500, his first time this season, and Kyle will now fall for the first time to 7-1. You're not regretting that Kyler Murray trade, are you, Kyle? I hope you like Goddard. Now, before we go ahead and look at Week 9, let's have a word from our sponsors.
I'm Elmo, and I approve this message.
Where is Blue? Blue is supposed to be working for you. But no one has seen Blue.
And I approve this message. Bow.
Almost 2 years ago, Elmo supporters only wanted one thing from Elmo.
Hey Elmo! Hey Elmo! Hey Elmo! Hey Elmo!
let's go ahead and take a look at week 9. Starting match we have is the 2-6 Danielle versus the 3-5 Kelly. Both teams desperately trying to pull their season around, and now is the time to do it. So I wish you ladies both the best of luck. Next up, we have the 2-6 William versus the 3-5 Justin. Much like Danielle versus Kelly, both of these teams are trying to turn it around for themselves so that way they qualify for the playoffs. I wish you gentlemen the best of luck. Next up is the 7... He lost. Next up is the 7-1 Kyle versus the 1-7 Bob. Bob desperately trying to get anything going this week, and Kyle looking to bounce back after his first loss to David. Good luck, gentlemen. Next up, it's the Sibling Bowl, but this time instead of the Masons, it's the Levitts. That's right, it's David versus Alexa. Alexa at 6-2, David at 5-3. David just ended his first streak. Will he end his second? Or will Alexa's hot hand continue and will she end David? Either way, good luck, sis. And our final game is the 5-3 Chris versus the 6-2 William. Both teams definitely making plays for the playoffs and both powerhouse teams. I wish you gentlemen the best of luck. So that's going to do it for week 8. Things to keep in mind, please continue to check free agency as there is still a multitude of players out there who are making big waves that are still sitting on free agency. So make sure you go ahead and take a look at that and grab what you need to fill in any gaps on your team. Also, we're still on the part of the schedule where bye weeks are happening. So make sure you have any players to fill in gaps that you're going to have thanks to bye weeks. In week 9, we're going to have 6 teams on a bye week. Those being the Browns, Cowboys, Giants, Broncos, Steelers, and 49ers. With all 6 of those teams on a bye week, make sure you have your positions covered so that way you don't suffer any losses unnecessarily due to those bye weeks. So until next time I see you, everybody have fun, please stay safe, live long and prosper, and remember, Christmas music is only allowed after Thanksgiving. So if you're caught playing Christmas music before Thanksgiving has even happened, legally, I'm allowed to shoot you. See you next week. Bit of good news. So since next Tuesday, the 8th of November, is Election Day, that officially means that this is the last video you're going to have to deal with my fake political ads. They were fun in the beginning. I probably overcommitted just a little bit to the premise and stretched it out a little bit too far, but hey, thanks for going on that ride with me.